episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Good morning, broads.
Good morning, broads.
You know what's so funny? Like,
tell me.
We were just talking before recording about like what we're gonna cover, and I am getting everything mixed up even from the first episode. Like, I even forgot about what we talked about last week. I'm like, okay, so we need to talk about Joe and Serena. And I'm like, wait, no. Okay.
And it's taken now me getting to episode 3 to remember what a pile of confusion BIP is for me. I start to forget about storylines outside of the show too, like from their past seasons.
I couldn't have told you where Riley was from or what I know about him.
Right?
I'm like, I don't remember who this person is.
It took me, by the way, in last episode, I called Victoria Paul Victoria Paulson. And I completely forgot, like when I was watching her, I had to go back and rewatch certain clips with her and Pilot Pete to remember
Oh my God, she was on
my feelings that I had about Victoria Paul when we watched her with Pete.
Don't remember anything about her.
Oh Lord, when I rewatched those Pilot Pete clips, I realized that the conversation we watched with Victoria Paul and Mob Boss, same exact convo as her and Pete.
Wow.
It was, and then I was forgetting about like, oh my gosh, like Kelsey and Tammy didn't like each other, Tammy and Victoria, all of these, a lot of those girls were not friends.
I mean, Pete's season is years ago.
Literal years ago. And Pete's season was such a massive shit show that I'm like, oh my God, the amount of drama. I remember when we were recapping Pete's season, we couldn't keep up with the drama episode to episode. There was so much happening. So then trying to remember what all the drama was in that now transferred to Paradise is like, oh Lord. But there's definitely layers to the Victoria Paul situation because of that.
And weren't we saying on Pete's season, it was sort of like no one really got any development outside of like, you know, Hannah, Ann, and Maddie. Like, I kind of remember that being a thing. Like, we didn't really get a sense of anyone on the show.
No, because it was all drama.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember what we did get a lot of was Alea. Remember Alea?
Oh, yes.
And how everyone had a problem with Alea, and Victoria Paul was one of the main ones who had a problem with Alea. So everyone was posting now after this episode justice for Alea.
I mean, also, I am definitely, trust me, seeing Tammy on my screen, I'm definitely reminded of how Tammy was on Pete's season as well, even though...
I am alive for Tammy this season. I am alive.
It's a little much. It's a little much.
I'm obsessed. I'm just like, bring it. You and Aaron, like,
that's the thing.
Is it too much?
So Aaron energy.
Yes, which is why I'm like, oh, they're going to. Do I think Aaron and Tammy are going to end up dating long term? No. But do I think they will be a power couple in a friendship? I believe it will continue.
I mean, yeah, and you know what's? It's kind of like Aaron. Neither of them really bother me. Like, I've never been really. I don't dislike Tammy, but I'm just like, you guys, you need to why are you coming for everyone like they're Satan themselves?
Oh, I had some issues with the guys with the Thomas situation, but I did not have a problem with the Tammy situation and Victoria Paul for a few reasons.
I barely even remember that. I feel like, so what's happening with the two episodes for me, it's like it's becoming a sieve, and what's happening is everything's getting shaken up. And I remember about 4 things from the episodes. It's like, and there's about 3 couples that I care about, and everyone else is just I think crazy.
I think the Mob Boss Victoria Paul really stood out to me because I watched that episode with Evan, and Evan did not watch Pilot Pete's season, so he does not know Victoria. And so he had very intense feelings without knowing the background. And so then I was also explaining the background to him. And so I think that's why it was really, I was diving deep into that because there's so many complexities to it because of the dynamics of friendships now post.
Okay, can you just tell me, can we just get into it right now? Because
let's get into it.
You're telling me about, like, you're saying, like, you know, he didn't watch Pete's season, so he doesn't know about Victoria. I'm telling you, I don't know about Victoria. So please tell me.
Who is Victoria?
I remember her face. I don't remember I remember zero of her involvement. Even when you're saying the Tammy thing, I just don't even remember that.
Okay, so
I'm sure there's probably lots of people out there that you are about to.
So Victoria Paul did end up staying fairly long on Pete's season, but remember she got this edit where it was like she's gonna go really far. Pete really likes Victoria a lot. We thought it was like she's gonna be the front runner, and all of a sudden some weird shit started going on. Lots of drama.
Did she have like a sad story? Or like,
yes, she did. I don't remember all the layers of it.
Okay.
But she
did we like her?
No.
We did not.
No.
Okay.
And so remember they called themselves the Cats and the Rats.
Oh yes.
She was part of the Cats crew.
It's all coming back to me.
Yes. So Victoria Paul was then front runner business, right? Okay. And her and Pete had he was so into her. And then there's drama that started to surround her. Mm-hmm. And when then he engaged with her at all, he literally at one point pulled her aside and was like, what's going on? And her response to him was what we saw with her and Mob Boss.
Wait.
Where she was like, honestly, how dare you put me in this? And Pete was like, I'm sorry. And that happened multiple times with Victoria. Multiple times.
And wasn't it the thing with Pete where now it's all flashing back to me? Weren't they like in a dinner and she was just crying, being like the girls or Alea wasn't she?
Yeah, she
was victimizing herself left and right.
And then
it's all coming back
all
to
that
me.
you need to remember Victoria Paul is if you Google the breakup
she was a pageant
scene.
Girl.
Yes. If you break up, because remember they had known each other previously.
Yes. Okay.
And then Pete was like, okay, so you knew Alea? Because she's saying you guys were friends.
Yes.
And she's like, I do not know her. And then all the pictures showed of them going on pageant tours together and staying in the same hotel rooms together.
Selfies.
And then she was like, I don't know why you would question me. All of these photos emerge.
Yes. Okay.
And Alea's like, dude, what is going on? And then Pete, because of all the drama, ends up breaking up with Victoria. The classic breakup scene between Victoria and Pete. She's got her glasses on. She seems very like she's comfortable. She knows Pete's gonna keep her, and she's just like, bless you, and like stroking him and doing this whole thing. And then he's like, and I don't think that it's gonna work out long term. And she is just like, I feel sorry for you that you are lost in this. And it's the same, it's cut and paste what we saw with Mob Boss. Like, that's why it all came flashing back for me. Now, the layers of this are the fact that there was drama with her and Tammy.
Right.
And then her and Natasha were friends. We're not really seeing their friendship on the beach at all. But now post the show, there is the Nashville group of girls, which includes Victoria P., Victoria Fuller, Kelsey. So Kelsey and Victoria P. are good friends off of the beach. So the fact that Kelsey was like, I don't want to say much, but then was like, yeah, she's got stuff hiding back at home. And then when Victoria P. confronted Kelsey and Tammy, and Kelsey got really upset at her, being like, why are you making this about us? Like, I feel really disrespected that as your friend, you're not hearing me out and you're just going, boundaries, you know? So that's where it gets a little like, okay, if your friend from home is like, there's stuff going on back at home. I mean, come on.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Which, by the way, you called that shit with Kelsey. Sayonara.
I felt my heart felt so sad for Kelsey. Just a stand-up person.
Yeah.
So low key. But again, this was not, she needs one-on-one. She's too low key. It's almost like she's too easygoing and too almost drama-free to be on the beach.
Well, she certainly wasn't drama-free on her season.
I know, but it leads me to believe that maybe she her real person is more drama-free, and she is just, was kind of set up.
I think she becomes easily overwhelmed is kind of like what happens, which isn't great.
But I felt like she handled everything so well in that situation. On like, she was honest, but she wasn't like going around like talking shit. I don't know. I thought she handled everything so well. And then Demi saying that she was faking fainting. For the love of God, did you see the cold sweat on that girl's face? Like that girl was about to pass the hell out.
There is literally two things. So you're going to have to fill in the gaps because there's two things I want to talk about today. And that's Demi and that's Riley and Maurissa.
Okay, we love that. I love that.
I'm trying to think what else, but those are the two things like after these 2 days where I'm like, wow, these are the standout moments for me. I do have strong feelings about Trey and Thomas, about that situation.
Do you really?
I do.
Okay.
So where do you think we should even?
Let's start in Bachelor in Paradise episode 2. So let's get into. You want to get into Demi?
Yeah.
Let's get into Demi.
Okay. I know I said it last time, but I'm saying it again. What was going on? Like what?
I sure don't know. I don't know if there was just a lot of it. I don't know. I don't know what if it was weed.
I don't want to make any speculations, but
there was something going on.
Her eyes were like half open throughout the whole fucking thing.
I know.
And then actually when there was a clip on episode 3, like she makes like she wasn't really on that episode, but she like makes a comment and I was like, okay, that was normal.
That was Demi.
That was
that
was a normal thing.
Yeah, she was in her interview, she was sharp. And she also then in the interview too, she wasn't being like, I'm Demi. It was like the episode 2 of Demi. It was like, what is happening and who is this? What is this persona that you are? What are you doing right now? It was pretty wild.
It was horrible.
It was, I was so uncomfortable. Like, because it felt like, I was like in mom mode where I was like, please stop. Like, please stop. This isn't you. I don't think this is you. I don't know what you're trying to do right now. I don't know like what I don't know what the producers like encouraged you to do. I don't know, like it's been a couple years and you're trying to like, come out guns blazing on the screen, but like in her conversation with Brendan, she was literally going like in between. I'm like, why are you moaning?
It was definitely more than producers because, which we'll get into, her whole reaction with Brendan, I'm like, this is saying a lot about you, girl.
Yeah.
This is saying a lot about you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know what the energy I was getting from her that whole second episode was like, I was getting like the energy of like a 58-year-old mom who is like trying to like be cool for her kids' friends.
Yeah, that, you know what? That's a way better description.
And
it
like
was just like
hitting on her daughter's
It was the
friends.
mom from Mean Girls.
Yes.
I'm I'm a cool mom. Like, and she was like super like the mom from Mean Girls was like, I love you girls. You want to feel my tits? You keep me young. And you're like, oh my God, it's so much.
That was the energy I was getting, where it was like trying to be like hip and relatable and like hitting on the daughter's guy friends and just being like mama likes kind of thing.
Yeah, and you know what? To that point, I think why I was in like when I was saying like almost like being a parent, being like, what persona are you putting on? I didn't believe any of it. Like, it felt like, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like you want to actually have sex with this person. Like, I did not, it felt like it was so over the top and so just like, you know how us girls do.
Right,
and I'm like, do you though? Because like the way that you're acting, it's like, I know you're moaning and like, then posting all these things on social media, but like, I would take him to the boom boom room still. I'm like, I don't doubt that.
Like, you don't have to overcompensate. Like, you've got a personality.
I'm sure you're attracted to him, you're into him, but like, I don't feel like you necessarily want to just drag him to the boom boom. Do you know what I'm saying? It felt, I don't know. I couldn't quite place it.
It was a desperation for validation.
Yeah.
And so, and I know that, this can be a struggle for anyone if you're in a place in your life where you're needing like validation or confirmation that you're accepted. And for someone like Demi, maybe a a way to get that is like through sexuality, you know?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
You know, I want to fuck you. Do you want to fuck me?
And my thing is, it's like,
in
you know,
that.
I'm all about like putting on that sexual vibe. I'm like, you know, God bless. But it was more because it didn't feel organic to me.
Right.
So I just couldn't quite place what was quite going on.
And I know desperate's a strong word, but there was a desperation that was like a desperation to be accepted, to be liked, to be that was just
Right.
like felt like it was oozing off.
Right. And like we talked about in our last episode, I was like, when I was watching this, I was just like, where was Demi from last season? Like she, you know, it was that mom thing where I wanted to be like, you are enough. You don't have to do this. Like you're funny, you're charming. You don't have to, you know, put on whatever is going on. And I was hoping after the third episode, and maybe it's because we didn't see her as much, but just in her ITMs and everything, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it was just like an entrance. But then when we're seeing the next episode with her and Kenny, I'm like, oh God, no.
I think it's just like, and I think it makes sense too. I think there's probably a lot of insecurity being someone from an older season.
Sure.
Being top most relevant dog. Mm-hmm. And then there's all these other women now who are fresher, newer, have more followers, you know, whatever it is, are like more relevant. And I think that that's really difficult. And I think that I would have a really hard time with that as well, being like, I don't know a lot of these people. I don't fit in. I was, you know, queen of the beach or, you know, whatever last time I was here, like,
Now, check this shit out. Blake H went on a Instagram story tirade.
oh my God, I'm so obsessed.
I'm obsessed. I'm like, we need him on now. Like I need him to tell us.
We needed him on yesterday.
He went on an Instagram story tirade spilling all the tea. The tea we weren't even asking for. We're like, oh my God, Blake, thank you so much. Now, what Blake was saying, a few things, but one of the things that he mentioned that I found quite interesting is that, which makes me then feel like a lot of Demi's vibe in this is very producer encouraged because they know she's going to start drama, is because Blake was saying, he's like, listen, everybody, the women who got the most followers from the past few years did not go on Bachelor in Paradise this year. And producers are scrambling. He's like, Maddie? He said they threw the kitchen sink at Maddie. They were like begging for Maddie to come on. No Maddie.
Wow. I mean, wow.
No Hannah Ann.
Yeah.
No Victoria Fuller.
Uh-huh.
So we have the two women the top two who got the most followers. Like, I mean, Maddie was exploding. Hannah Ann exploding.
Yeah.
And then Victoria Fuller brought all the drama.
Right.
None of them. And he mentioned someone else too, and I don't know why I'm blanking, but it was like all of the women who caused, you know, the biggest commotion as far as social media went, didn't come on.
That's pretty crazy. And I got to say, like, I'm not saying like I don't have respect for the women who went on Paradise. I'm not saying that at all. But I have to say I'm like, props to Maddie for like just being
She's like,
no,
I don't want to do it. I'm shocked.
I still thought she was going to come on the beach and, you know, get engaged and, you know, just blow up.
Maybe maybe there's people that she's been talking to, like, that she's not public.
I mean, good for her.
With, but, so yeah, Blake was dropping all of the gems. He also mentioned, that in the Demi and Brendan situation, he brought up the fact that he's like, Demi, why are you getting mad at Brendan talking to Pieper? He's like, when you came on the show, we had all met your girlfriend Christian at Stagecoach. He said, you introduced her to us as your girlfriend. Yes. We all knew you had a girlfriend when you went on Paradise last season. So why are you talking to Brendan about Pieper like this?
Yes, which, by the way, I think that also has to be part of the insecurity thing where, because Demi had talked to, I mean, I guess I've never heard it straight from a producer's mouth, but it is what happened. It is. Because Demi had arranged with producers that Christian was going to come on later, she was assured to slide through the whole season.
Oh, for sure.
You know, producers were going to make sure she got a rose or whatever had to happen was going to happen so that she could leave that show engaged to Christian. That was the plan.
Yep.
And then now I imagine there's a lot of insecurity being like,
am I going to not get a rose this week?
Right. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, hence her going for mob boss. Because it was like, I gotta keep a rose. Mob boss. Why did you keep Kelsey?
James
mob
the next
boss?
day is just like,
James, who I did appreciate in the second episode, by the way. I was impressed by Mob Boss, the way that Mob Boss handled things.
Yes.
But I was very disappointed that Mob Boss did not give his rose to Kelsey.
but yeah, okay, so the Brendan thing.
Okay,
let's talk.
Let's get into the Brendan thing. Before we get into the Brendan thing, let's take a pause because that is a whole other set of wild, like what the hell is going on? Production, behind the scenes.
What, with Pieper?
With Pieper and everyone knowing that they were dating.
Yeah, okay.
There's a lot.
Right.
There is a hell of a lot.
Sponsor break.
Okay, sponsor break. Broads. I have a new favorite app on my phone, and I am very excited to talk to you all about it. If life has got you wound up, stressed, anxiety-ridden, and you're looking for a new way to relax, unwind, and most importantly, get a little sexy, you've got to check out DIPSEA. DIPSEA is an audio app full of short, sexy stories designed to turn the world off and you on, and trust me when I say it delivers.
I've always loved audio stuff, radio theater, audiobooks, podcasts. It's all for me. I already knew I was going to like DIPSEA, but I didn't know that I was going to like it as much as I do. The app is full of sexy stories. They've got wellness sessions and soundscapes, and it's all designed to get you in the right headspace as you drift off to sleep or drift off to other activities. The stories are so good. The characters feel like real people. The plots are immersive. It feels like you're in on the action. Sometimes they have like well-known actors coming in. Can I just throw out there Oscar Isaac? Can you include him on a future track? Just a suggestion.
Please.
DIPSEA.
Thank you. I will admit. Listen, I was a little hesitant that it might feel like a bit strange being read a sexy bedtime story. I'm like, I love the audio. I wasn't sure about the sexy times though, right? The erotic stories. It's my favorite new thing, like by a mile. They release new content every single week, and it's still not enough for me, okay? They've got everything from stories about hooking up with your hometown crush to stories that put you into bed with someone who's extra bossy in all the right kind of ways for me, okay? There's something for everyone, and I know I always fall asleep best after a little DIPSEA story.
For listeners of the show, DIPSEA's offering an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipseastories.com/chatty. So that's 30 days of full access for free when you go to DIPSEA stories.com/chatty. Like I always say, it's like dip in the sea. dipseastories.com/chatty.
Broads, it would not be off course to call Becca and I content creators, I guess, from audio,
we create
video,
content.
right, of this podcast to merch, logo designs, graphics, Instagram. There's a whole lot of creative stuff behind the scenes, and I'll just be blunt with you. I am not naturally good at it. It is not my natural skill set. And yes, sometimes we have amazing people who help us out, love the team, but we can't do that for everything. There's just too many things going on, which is why I started to use CANVA Pro, game changer for myself personally.
Using CANVA Pro is like having your own on-call creative designer. It's a design platform. It empowers you, yes, you, even if you struggle with design, to create stunning content in just a few clicks. CANVA Pro comes with thousands of professionally made templates that are super easy to customize to your needs, or if you're feeling up to it, you can even start from scratch and create exactly what you're looking for.
CANVA Pro makes it pretty easy too because everything you need is already preloaded. You'll find an endless library of fonts, photos, videos, and so much more. If you've ever been on Instagram and wondered how the heck your favorite influencer got their story or post to look a certain way, my guess would be Canva, okay? CANVA Pro. My favorite feature is their content planner, which I actually use on my own social media. It allows you to edit, plan, and schedule posts across your social media channels, and it's really helpful in keeping everything organized.
Design like a pro with CANVA Pro. And right now you can get a free 45-day extended trial when you use our promo code. Just go to canva.me/chatty to get your free 45-day extended trial. So that's canva.me/chatty. Canva.me/chatty.
Okay, so when Demi comes in, Brendan and Natasha are talking. They're vibing. They're considered a couple, even though they have not kissed.
Yeah.
A few things. Number one, I know that Demi and Natasha are really good friends now. I think they were friends before, like good friends. So then she's coming down. We're not seeing them interact really as friends. Also, Brendan and Natasha are coupled up together. This is my theory. Natasha and Pieper are friends.
Mm-hmm.
There are photos of them together.
So she's like saving. They're like saving each other. Yeah.
I think Natasha and Pieper, you see them getting their nails done together, whatever. Pieper was on the Clickbait podcast talking about who her Bachelor Nation crush was. The same time when her and Natasha and Pieper were hanging out while Brendan and Pieper were dating.
Yeah.
My guess is Natasha's being a good friend and probably trying to couple up with Brendan, them all knowing that Piper's going to be coming down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Brendan didn't really, I didn't see any chemistry between them in the scenes I saw with them together.
No, and it also then proves to me why I'm like, they haven't kissed.
Yeah.
My guess is that, and obviously we see Natasha.
It's a fact.
I believe we see Natasha being hurt, and I'm not trying to negate her feelings. If it's not true and she is hurt, I'm not trying to negate those feelings, but it doesn't make sense to me that her and Pieper are hanging out while Brendan and Pieper are dating, and they're not fucking talking about Brendan.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I don't think to compare it, I don't think it's like a Demi and Christian situation. I think that they were dating. I think, there's back and forth, and who knows? Let's see what happens. Yeah. And I don't think they're in a committed relationship per se, at all.
No.
But I think that things are going to happen when Pieper ends up on the beach.
Natasha and Brendan probably off the beach had talked about it or whatever, maybe know each other.
Maybe Natasha's even been talking to both of them and being well, Brendan, where's your head at? Well, maybe you should just wait until she comes.
Maybe she's the friend in between. Yes. Maybe hold off, whatever. Yeah. But it just doesn't make... And also it made me... It confirmed it more to me when then later Natasha is on the daybed and Deandra is bringing up, there's a girl named Pieper, and Natasha's just who? And I'm like, you've already recorded an episode with her. There's photos of you guys hanging out. So it's a little bit okay, we're trying to, we know Piper's coming down. I think Natasha's being a good friend. Now, I think all of a sudden Demi comes down, and it's a little bit Brendan, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Brendan, because later when Natasha is I need to talk to Brendan and pulls him on the sofa, the way that she was approaching it was a little bit so how was your date?
Right.
What about Pieper?
Right. Not oh my God, I'm so distraught over you. Right.
A little bit Brendan, this was not part of the
I think
plan.
she's playing friends matchmaker. I think, and I don't even know if she and Brendan have, in my theory, I don't even know if they have any kind of set agreement, but sort of well, I think she's been I think she's been talking to him as Piper's friend, just being well, keep your options open, but I just think, I feel that's what she's doing,
Totally. Natasha also just in general gives me of the house, the therapist vibes.
Uh-huh.
Everyone is talking to Natasha about their problems. It's she's the one. It's almost Natasha, I gotta talk to you about this, and that. And it's my guess is if someone obviously were to come down in this time who Natasha was into, she'd be peace out, Brendan, I'm done being. But for right now, it's a friendship rose.
Right.
That we're gonna, kind of have these conversations. What about Pieper? Pieper might be coming down. But I think Demi threw it for a loop, because I don't think that was part of the thought process.
Well, and then who did Brendan end up giving a rose to?
Natasha.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
But I think he then was you saw Brendan's face when Demi walked down, and he was he literally was who's that? He kind of was, into it. And then obviously after the makeout was just to make it clear.
He was literally well, dude, I'll see you when I see ya. Maybe we'll run into each other at the bar.
I'm pretty sure word for word was like, maybe we'll bump into each other later. And you're like,
on the beach.
Huh? You know we're driving home together, right? You know we're driving back to the sand together? Are we just... It was the moment of regret when you like another person and then you go out on a date and you don't mean to make out with the person because you like someone else, but you do. And then you're trying to scramble to make it very clear that you're single and you're like, it was a friend kiss. We do that, right? Frenching, is that a thing?
Oh my God. And again, it was really like I said, like sort of the 50, like mom in her 50s being like, that was so fun. We could have fun like this every day together. I'm like, what? Where are these lines coming from?
I mean, what in God's name?
Every day could be like this if you're with me. I'm like, what is this?
I like watching both of them. I was like, Demi, what are you doing? And I'm like, Brendan, what are you doing? Both of them, I was like, you guys both need to stop. Like, I don't know what's happening right now. Brendan, don't make out with her.
Oh, yeah.
Demi, stop with the lines. And then after Brendan rejects, and then Demi, all of Demi is like, I am the best thing on that beach. And I'm just like, just don't say anything. Just be like, totally, I hear you. Because...
Or just literally be like, oh, well, that sucks. I definitely liked you, but what are you going to do? You know?
But it's more like, she needs to be honest. Sure. She needs to be truthful with herself. But at the same time, when you go on the beach and you literally say, I'm going to ruin people's relationships and I'm going to fuck shit up. And you go out on a date with one guy and then he says, we're still meeting people, right? I mean, you gotta, like, I was assuming she was gonna be like, oh yeah, I got plenty other people that I'm planning on making out with, like kind of roll with it that way. And then he literally said, because of her reaction, he goes, oh, you don't roll that way.
And she was like, no.
He was thrown off. I think maybe Brendan thought she was kind of a safe bet to go have a little frolic with.
Sure. Yeah.
And he was like, oh, she's going to want to,
I mean, she's saying this is all about the fun.
Right. She's going to want to stir the pot and meet other people on the beach. She's safe to go out with, right? It's going to be fine. And then she's like, marry me. I could not believe it.
I don't know how I would react in Brendan's position where it was like, well, like, yeah, I'm the best on this beach and like, what up?
I would not know how to react in either situations because with her all of a sudden portraying herself a certain way and then being like not maybe how she seemed. Yeah. And then on her end being like, we're vibing, massively flirting, your hand's on my thigh, and we start making out, and then you're like, so catch you later. And it's like, what? The level in which he ended that was so horrific and unorganic. It was literally like sign on the dotted line. Like, please don't tell Pieper, sign here. Like, that's what it felt like.
Oh, really?
I don't know what was going on.
I think, I literally think that it was like, yeah, you're not my vibe.
Oh no, I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying more like
I didn't feel like the Pieper thing came into play at all. I think it was like I don't like you.
Okay, like if it would have been someone he was more interested in, he would have maybe continued to pursue it regardless of Pieper.
So. Yes.
Okay.
I think the fact that he was I think that him and Pieper are not in, and I don't think you're saying this either, but I don't think they're in any kind of agreement. I think it's both like, let's see what happens. I do think that if Brendan was with some girl that he really was into, that he would continue things and see how it played out.
Yes. What I don't buy, though, is Brendan's speech about how him and Pieper are just kind of have seen each other a couple times.
Oh, no.
No. No, they were spotted out a lot.
And
it was
out.
And it was news everywhere that like, oh, Pieper and Brendan are officially dating. I don't know if that's true, but neither of them denied it. And it was everyone was posting about it.
Although that would be weird to go on and deny, don't you think? Especially if it's someone you are talking to. Maybe if you're not dating, to be like, you wouldn't want to be that person if you're talking to someone being like, we are not dating to press.
But I guess it was just like, it was posted about enough that everyone was kind of like in agreement that it's like, oh, they're official. That's what it seemed like. And then I remember all of the friends too. Like if it's everywhere that Piper, if I'm friends with Piper and it's everywhere that Piper and Brendan are official, I would say in some interview at some point or on Instagram, like I would probably slip and be like, well, I don't know about that guy. No one said anything.
Right.
So I feel like they were definitely more serious than Brendan is alluding to. I don't buy that.
I would agree with that.
But then Bachelor Clues, rocking the merch.
Would you?
Yes.
I love that.
They sent you one too. It's on the couch.
Wow.
Bless you. Bachelor Clues posted, of which when I saw this, when I was watching the episode, I was like, stop the tapes. Where you hear Brendan after their date talking to Demi.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely watched that 5 million times. It's a clip, when he's having a conversation with Demi and when they're arguing in the night and he's saying something.
Yes, this is after Demi finds out about Piper from the other
play
women.
It?
Play it.
Yeah.
Play it.
Roll the tape. Roll the clips. But he says the word, he's saying, I mean, you don't really know what he's saying. But what he's saying is something with producers in it.
And you see him it's like it's a quick glance to him. And with the way he's moving his arms too, it's like he's saying to Demi, like, come on, Demi, like you know how producers are.
Right.
And this is when Demi's like, why would you ever put yourself in this situation if you're seeing someone? Which again, it's like, okay, Demi, well, remember Christian, but.
Okay, here we go.
Yes, we're ready.
Like, don't waste other people's time like that. Like, you're teasing me. He's playing defense hard right now. Like, look at the hand motion now. Like, look at now.
I don't think you can really hear, but he's like, and the producers are... You don't know what he's saying, but
he's bringing up the producers. In some way, he's bringing up the fact that, like, you know that this is a producer move.
Yeah.
And I think what Brendan is now scared of and is maybe starting to get a little nervous when he's talking to Demi is how all of a sudden Brendan's going to look.
Yeah.
And what his bachelor edit's going to be. If he's going to get
I just saw someone's comment where they were saying the producers have to preserve the sacred timeline. Okay, continue.
But that's this whole thing is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because listen, I hate this. I hate it so much that they're acting like they don't know each other. They're acting like they don't have what I did like more about at least last season with Blake, for instance, is that it was stuff that we didn't really know about that wasn't on social media so much. Like we saw that they got together. So they were taking us more on this journey where it's all of a sudden Blake walks on the sand and Kaylin is like, oh no. Like you see that happening versus in this situation, they're all friends and they're like, hi, nice to meet you.
Right.
Natasha's like, Piper who? And you're like, you guys.
Right.
Like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
I want them to be talking like more behind the scenes, like, oh my God, well, yeah, when I was hanging out with such and such, she told me such and like, I want more of that.
Yeah.
That's the reality of what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know though. I still can't believe that. I still can't believe what her reaction was, even if it is true that he's actively dating Piper.
Yes.
I'm like,
huh?
You were the textbook of that situation.
Completely.
Of having a completely pre-orchestrated situation.
But that's why watching this episode, I was like, I just feel like there's so much acting going on. That's why I'm saying I hate that they're all acting like they don't. It just, I feel like I'm watching a lot of bad acting. Who?
Trying to preserve these storylines, the sacred timeline.
It's like, hey, like, it's like, hey, you know, you're doing this whole like, well, maybe you shouldn't be dating someone, or I can't imagine someone dating. You're like, hey, you all know what's going on.
And also
like
I don't get the purpose of it either. Like, why not be like, Piper and I were serious, but like things got really dicey, and like we talked about what it would be like if we're here on Paradise, but like she's not here, so I'm gonna just have some fun and see what happens. What's the downside of doing that?
Or even being Piper and I, when I left, we were still hanging out.
And why not be like Natasha?
We'll see.
I'm like Natasha being like, I'm pairing up with him to make sure that we each get a rose.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't get why.
That feels more like how it was last season. Like there was the reality. It was more real. This feels like they're trying to act like everything on the outside didn't happen and is invisible. Yeah. And I don't like it.
I don't know. There was definite cons though to last season, because I don't know if you remember, but it was like where, Kaylin was ignoring him, and then you didn't, and then people are referencing text messages, and it was like,
and to recap, it was challenging because you're like, I have
no
receipts.
idea what they're talking about.
Right. Now, what I desire wholeheartedly beyond all of this is that if you want to go on Bachelor in Paradise, you have to sign a contract after you get off Bachelor or Bachelorette that you will not engage with anyone that wasn't on your season. Like that I want.
You will not
engage with anyone who wasn't on your season.
I don't understand.
So like if you're coming off of your season with Ari, you can engage with all the girls. Yeah. But if you want to go on Bachelor in Paradise, you cannot go physically out. You cannot engage or be seen. You cannot do this with any people from the Bachelor franchise.
As if that would work.
I mean, but.
And you know what? That's hard too, because they want to drum up, the producers want to drum up like, look who's hanging out with who. What's it going to be like on the beach? But what I'm saying,
when it wasn't like that as much, and it was way more like pure them actually meeting for the first time, or at least it seemed that way. Then the illusion for us viewers was like, oh, they're really meeting for the first time.
It's social media. It's being able to just slide into someone from another season's DMs, make a comment.
I don't like it.
I get it. I don't like it either.
I want to see them meeting each other organically. Or, what I believed was a very organic moment was Tajwan really wanting to have Riley come on the beach. And I believe with my whole heart that they did not ever engage with each other.
No.
And I loved seeing that moment because that was a fucking real moment of like, oh my God, he is the person I've been waiting to walk on the sand. And now he just walked on and I cannot even function.
But you know what would help Jess too? If they just mostly cast people from the most recent season.
Yeah.
Like with Thomas and all these guys coming off of Katie's, none of the girls know them.
Yes.
And that...
Yes.
Is fun.
That is very fun. It's very fun. Yeah, it makes it so complex because with people from these past seasons, especially with COVID, it's like everyone's been chatting and everyone's been having meetups.
Yeah.
And it's just too much. And what I'm saying is it's like I didn't like the whole dynamic with the stagecoach where we're trying to get the receipts. But what I like less is this whole like, we don't actually know each other. And you're like, no, we all saw it online. They were on podcasts together. You guys all know each other. Stop.
That's goofy.
Let us have the behind the scenes. Give us all the tea about behind the scenes.
You know what's weird is that no one seems to hate Carl as much anymore.
I know.
I feel bad for Carl. Don't you?
Well, Carl is with now Deandra, so I do not feel bad for Carl.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how that happened either. I'm very confused, but I'm sure he is very happy.
Yeah, Carl at like before the rose ceremony, he's just like, "Hello, ladies," and there's like,
my gosh, he's like, look at all these princesses I'm surrounded by. I was like, when he's off doing like Tai Chi or something by himself in the corner, and everyone's like, who is Carl fighting? What invisible enemy is he fighting?
I'm definitely on Evan's side now, where I'm so team Carl.
He seems pretty harmless, and he's just kind of, doing his own thing. When he brought Thomas over, though, I was dying, where he was like, you know what, I'm going to orchestrate this meet and greet. Okay, Thomas, buddy, come over here. And then he puts his leg up on the daybed.
That's why he's like a character. He's a character.
He's like big, like camp counselor.
Yes.
I mean, like just
or like the store manager who takes the job super, super seriously.
He's Michael Scott.
Yeah.
He really is of Bachelor in Paradise, where you're just like, oh God. But then there is that little part where you're like, yeah, I kind of like you though. I can't help it.
I feel bad for you.
Because you seem like you're kind of harmless.
You're kind of earnest in your
you really try.
antics.
You really try, and it's not often successful, but you do really try. No, maybe motivational speaker isn't the thing, you know. But anywho.
Oh my God.
Okay, so do we want to get now into, I know we talked about it a smidge.
Yeah.
But I feel like I do have to talk a bit about the Victoria Paul and mob boss moment.
You take it away.
Okay. There are just a few things that I wanted to touch on. First and foremost,
I swear it was like I didn't remember her and anything, and so I feel like my eyes just glazed over, and I was like, these are irrelevant characters that I don't give a shit about. But now I'm feeling like I really missed out on paying attention.
You know, I was just very engaged. First of all, I was watching Victoria Fuller's recaps, her Insta story recaps, which I'm obsessed with for BIP. You know what? I can't get enough of Victoria Fuller. Now she's best friends with Victoria Paul, so Victoria Paul was sitting with her, who wish Victoria Paul a speedy recovery. She just got out of surgery. Oh. One of her breast implants like popped right before the episode aired. And so she's like all wrapped up watching the episode. It's a whole thing. So speedy recovery. But she's sitting with her as Victoria Fuller is doing this. So what Victoria Paul then is her thing the night of her episode airing was that her and this guy had been broken up right before she got on the show. Right. I'll make something clear. I don't care though. Like, I know the whole thing was about then Tammy and Kelsey being like, you have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And maybe she didn't. And if that's true and they were harping on that, that sucks.
Weren't they saying specific things though? Like hooked up with him the Thursday before? Like yes. there were specifics.
Now she even said when she then was talking to Mob Boss, she said, yes, we were dating right before I came here.
We were dating on Wednesday. However, Thursday we slept together and decided to end things.
And she said he really wanted me to go on. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so what this seems like is potentially like a
go on, get some followers, get that coin. I support you, babe.
He's also like an aspiring country singer.
Yeah. I understand.
Cut to the memes of it being Jed.
I don't give a shit either though. Like,
but what my problem was with Victoria Paul, you know, when I was rooting for her, there was something about it. I wanted more of her on my screen. I don't know why, but I did. But I don't care if you had a boyfriend or not. You legit she started the episode by saying like, I have an energy healer friend who said when you're with the right person at the right time, you'll be covered in chills. That is not happening.
Yes.
She forgot his name 500 times.
Yes. Yes.
She didn't like him.
Yes. No.
That I had a problem with.
Yes.
Where I'm like, okay, so you're faking liking him to get a rose. That's my problem.
Yes. Yeah. So fair.
That's it. If you would have looked at him and been like...
And she was bad at faking it too.
It was so bad. And if she would have looked at him and been like, listen, when she said, I think you're really hot. And he's like, well, I hope there's more to it than you thinking I'm hot. Sad. But
I know I actually really like James. He's kind of grown on me. I didn't hate him during Katie's season. I will say that. I thought he was ridiculous at times, but didn't hate him.
When he was coming for Hunter, it was a little bit like, my boss, you're bored. You're bored because there's not a lot going on. You're used to some more action in your life. You're stuck in a mansion, stuck in New Mexico. But I liked him other than that. But he was like, I hope there's something more to it than the way that I look. If she would have looked at him, I would have loved if she would have been like, honestly, right now, like, I don't really know you very well.
So all I have to go
So
off
I think
is
you're
that.
hot, but let's get to know each other.
Yeah.
Cool.
Play it coy.
Tell him you forgot his name many times. Be that person.
Yeah.
Be like, I am so sorry. I keep forgetting your name.
Instead of be like, no, baby.
Baby. And then, and so I was even still, it was like, you know what? You're getting your rose.
Sure.
You're trying to get your rose. That's what people are here for. My issue came when he then confronted her. And he hears from Tammy and Kelsey that Victoria P might have a boyfriend. He hears she's forgetting his name on a regular basis. She doesn't really care. He pulls her aside in maybe the most calm way possible. And within 2 seconds, she's like, you need to calm down.
Yeah.
You're coming. You're attacking me.
No.
And it was like, this man is literally in the most calm state ever.
Have you watched F-Boy Island at all?
No, I still haven't watched it. I know I really need to.
Was giving me like CJ energy for anyone who's been watching F-Boy Island.
I've seen people post about CJ.
I can't stand her.
But I'm like, okay, watching this is just, again, it was like, that's when I was remembering all the Pete, of the Pete.
It's kind of like it's sort of a gaslighting thing.
I mean, it's literally like he's being told, and he's, again, in the most low-key way, just being like, hey, is this true? And he told her exactly. He didn't go, hey, I'm tweaking out right now. Like, which he could have been like, I'm really irritated. He was just like, hey, I just want to let you know, I've been hearing this. Is this true? And she tells him immediately to take a deep breath. And I'm like, don't say that to the mob boss, Victoria.
It's just really dismissive kind of behavior.
She was so dismissive.
Earnestly to invalidate this person's experience.
Was so dismissive of him. It was kind of wild.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. And then he brings up, she's like, yeah, I broke up with someone right beforehand, right? And he's like, well, here's the thing though. We talked about past relationships and you told me about your relationship that you had for 14 years. But you didn't mention that you had just broken up with someone right before.
Kind of relevant, right?
Kind of relevant, right? And she's just like, let's back up for a second, my guy. And, that's when it's like, okay, this is obviously done. Like, obviously done. She's like, she's like, I don't even know your last name. And he's like, apparently you don't know my first name either. There were some good singers that he had in there. But she then talks to the girls. We talked about it earlier. But it's just, I'm going, hey, when your actual friend is irritated that you are being dismissive of what her purpose was in her conversation with James. And then the main thing that I wanted to bring up was on Victoria's ride out.
Yes.
She literally said in the car, well, now I know I don't have to search for what I already have at home. And you're like, okay, so you're just gonna admit, now you're just gonna just balls to the wall, just be like, yep, I still have my boyfriend at home. Or I'm gonna go straight back to my boyfriend.
She's a little crazy.
Yeah. She's wild. She's absolutely wild. She's got always the big smile. And she's trying to like hold it together. And she just kept talking about her therapy. And she's like, thank God I've learned these therapy techniques because you all need them. That's the vibe. And then she was crying on her way out because she was so proud that she did this. But anywho, that was that dynamic. And then mob boss, who knows?
Okay, enough of them. I think they're irrelevant. On to who can we talk about next? I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but I really want to cover the conversation and things that I want to cover. I really want to talk about Thomas. That's what I'm really itching for.
Yes, let's talk about Thomas. One quick thing, then we can take a little pause. Then Thomas.
Yes,
is that okay? So
I'll survive.
So people who left, Goddess, Victoria P, Kelsey, and Serena C.
Which, by the way, Goddess
and Tajwan.
Can we like not jump right into like calling black women aggressive when they say like one word to you?
The
Can we not do that?
level of like macroaggressions that were going on.
I know. I was thinking
in the
micro. I was like, that's not. It's not micro.
The level of macroaggressions going on in the conversation when Tajwan takes the time to sit down with Victoria and be like, "Hey, you're going back to your old ways," which also means that they've had a conversation off camera where the goddess has told Tajwan and whoever else that she's trying to change.
Yeah, I would assume that she probably had a whole conversation with all the girls like off this. Yeah.
So Tajwan is saying, "Hey, just FYI, right now what you're doing, it's hurting my feelings because you know that Trey and I like each other.
Right.
Now you're just desperately trying to get a rose and you're going back to your old ways." And the goddess is just absolutely flies off the handle, calls her aggressive, calls her crazy 5 times, and starts bawling.
Have you seen the Victoria's Secret lady meltdown?
No.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, Victoria was giving major Victoria's Secret Karen energy. Oh, it's this woman who like this Karen comes at this black lady and was like trying to like fight her. I don't remember why. It was over some shit in the Victoria's Secret line. People are so out of their fucking minds. Anyway. And then the lady starts filming and she's like, "Please stop filming me." And she falls on the floor and is like pretending to like have a seizure or something. Just being like, "No, she's filming me. She's filming me." And then the lady is like, "She was trying to attack me." And then the lady's like, "No, please, like, she's recording, please. Stop recording." And then the security is trying to escort out the black lady who's just standing there recording.
Fuck that.
Yeah, it was so crazy. So now I think she's trying to... Anyway. But yeah, Victoria's giving you that energy where she's like, "Please stop. She's talking to me." Like, it was so Karen.
It was so unbelievable. I mean, well, unfortunately, I wasn't surprised. But if Tajwan, who... Please, more of Tajwan in these past 2 episodes, didn't get enough. We need more. If she wouldn't have been like, "I'm done with even having this discussion because I like Trey and I'm not going, it's not worth it to me.
Yeah.
I'm not putting if she would have like this would have become like the goddess probably was trying to make this so big.
Oh, totally.
It's
That's
like
what I'm saying.
she's running off
super
sobbing.
Karen.
You know, she's going to all the producers and just be like, "I cannot." And then Tajwan's just like, I'm not even
super Karen for
give
sure.
it my time.
So Goddess Karen went home. Mm-hmm. Victoria P. Other Victoria.
No, got it. Oh yeah. Double Victorias, Serena C and Kelsey. Poor Serena C.
Yeah, I was gonna say poor Serena. Poor Kelsey.
I know.
Okay. Advertiser break.
Advertiser break, and then Thomas. Broads. Buying a car is never not an intense, complicated, stressful experience, in my opinion. Okay, but right now it is especially so. Oh my gosh,
it's crazy.
It's wild. The market is back in full swing, and all my friends and family that have been toying with the idea of getting a new car, me included, we've been reporting that it's as bad as ever, okay? Which is why I was so relieved and so excited when I found out about Edmunds, the one resource that can take the stress out of buying a new car. I'm telling you, the second I went on Edmunds, I was like, the relief washed over my body. I'm like, oh my God, we actually can do this.
Edmunds is your new best friend in the car business. You just go to edmunds.com. You can read in-depth reviews for almost every make and model of any car, basically ever. Their vehicle testing team is one of the largest in the country. So each year they drive over 500,000 miles and conduct thousands of hours of testing so you get the most comprehensive reviews possible. I have looked up many a review on Edmunds. I'm always looking to get a new car, and yet, I mean, I haven't gotten a new car in years, but maybe one day, and I'll have the Edmunds reviews to back it up. Or if you take my approach, which like I was just saying, I have no idea what I want, Edmunds conveniently puts together their top rated list so you can browse their most suggested cars by category. So you can feel confident with the car that you're choosing. It just
makes it so easy, okay, and so organized. And once you've narrowed down your list even further, you can use edmunds.com. You search for those vehicles in your area, get accurate price estimates, connect with local dealers, and even set up test drives or make your purchase. Just being able to do all of this through a completely unbiased party takes a huge amount of pressure off. No sales tactics, just honest, thorough reviews to help guide you through the purchasing process.
Shopping for a car can be really overwhelming, but Edmunds is here to guide you to your perfect vehicle. Just visit edmunds.com to see their best car rankings and search for vehicles near you by going to edmund.s.com. For cars, there's Edmunds.
Broads, when it comes to food, I am a woman of simple pleasures. Okay, I think that cheese on a pizza is sufficient as far as topping goes. I don't need anything fancy on my burgers, but there is one thing that I add to every single food because it takes simple food and instantly elevates it. And I kid you not, broads, if you open my pantry at home, you will find a minimum of 4 bottles at a time, and that is truff hot sauce.
Literally, yesterday I was having truff on, what was I having it with? Rice and beans and avocado and eggs for breakfast, and I was putting truff on it. And I was like, wonder when we're going to have our next truff ad.
I mean,
because I love it.
I have truff every single day.
I don't know what kind of unicorn magic they put in this hot sauce, but it's seriously one of the best I've ever had. All of their products are infused with 100% real black winter truffles, not synthetic artificial flavoring. We're talking the real deal truffles, fancy stuff. It's different from other hot sauces too, because aside from just adding heat, it adds a lot of flavor and a lot of dimension to your food, which is why Jess and I add it to everything.
Yeah, again, truly, I use it every single day. But we aren't the only ones. Truff is the best-selling hot sauce on Amazon and at Whole Foods. It has more than 1 billion shout outs on Instagram.
Wow.
Okay. Insta famous. It was even on Oprah's
1 billion.
1 billion. Okay. It was even on Oprah's favorite things twice. Okay. That's very impressive. That's a very impressive resume for hot sauce. Anything for that matter. Okay. I have introduced so many of my family and friends to truff, and they are all hooked on it now. It's just that good. I think my favorite way to eat it actually is to mix it with ketchup and French fries.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Get 15% off site-wide plus free shipping with promo code CHATTY at truff.com. Also, they box it in really beautiful boxes. So this is a really nice gift. That's 15% off everything at Truff, TRUFF, as in fire. It's like truffle, but without the LE. It's Truff. Truff.com, promo code CHATTY.
I gave it to my father for Father's Day.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really good,
in like the
big
big box of it, because it looks like
it's gorgeous.
They look like nightclub. It's like a little nightclub hot sauce. Like they're so fancy. It looks it's like Vegas in all the right ways.
Love it.
Okay. Let's get down to absolute Thomas business. Okay. We have the next episode 3. Okay. We have our new host Lance is coming in.
Him.
I love Lance.
I like him because he's comfortable on camera too. Not that any, what's his name isn't, but I like it because he almost seems like another cast member. He's very like easygoing. He's not too much.
I was thinking if I was when the girls were chatting with Lance, I was like, I would just want to chat with him all the time and be like, okay, this is how I feel about this guy and this guy. And like, this is the drama going on. And I would actually maybe trust him, which is good.
Yes.
Because, obviously he's connected with producers. So you want to trust the host to give him all the tea.
No, I like him. I think he was felt random, but I think he's a good choice.
He came fresh off this last season of The Circle, made numerous appearances on that. So he's doing his reality TV circuit.
Yeah, good for him. I think he makes a great host.
Yeah, he's great.
It is odd though how they say goodbye to a host and then get a new host.
It feels
disjointed to me.
It was strange.
It's odd. I did not like them all standing around the boombox thing. That needs to not be a thing.
I wrote that I'm just I don't understand why they're having it be this big intro. I mean, granted, a member of NSYNC, so I get that it's a big deal, but it just felt like we've only had 2 episodes of David Spade.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they get this secret boombox and it's who's going to be our host now? Then it doesn't feel like you have a host who knows what's going on the whole time. Also, Wells did the rose ceremony. David Spade wasn't even at the rose ceremony. He was already on his way home to the airport.
I wish that they would do a pass off where like Lance Bass comes on while David Spade's still there and they do some funny quip and then he's like, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. I was laughing when they were all playing, when NSYNC was playing and everyone was singing. I'm like, I would have been the one in the middle being like, my parents didn't let me listen to this growing up.
No, that happened to me on The Bachelor when everyone was like singing various lyrics to like boy bands and stuff. And
like,
I was literally like, hey, and everyone's like, you're so young. And I was like, no, really sheltered.
You're like homeschooled. So I'm like,
it's not an age thing, honey.
Yes, that's not what it's about. But they were living for that song because I'm like, that's the only bit of music they will be hearing for the next few weeks.
Seriously, yeah.
I think about that a lot watching the show. One of my favorite things when I am on in a tropical place drinking is I need music in the background.
I would beg
silence.
Producers at the airports to be like, can I please borrow your phone and listen to music?
To have dead silence trying to like party.
Imagine traveling like on The Bachelor and not being able to listen to a podcast or music or anything.
I mean, it makes sense to me why people start to lose it.
Of course.
I would absolutely. If I didn't have any of like my alone time to listen to my comedy podcast, calm me down, I would explode on someone. I was thinking
Books
about this. There's something about listening. When I was watching this third episode, I was like, you know what? I have to say, I would not do well on Bachelor in Paradise. I don't think I would either. I think I would be a villain because I think I would lose it.
I might hate it, but I also might love getting so tan.
That would be great. But being so hot during sleeping hours, Jade and Tanner did a little Insta story where they were talking about Bachelor in Paradise and they were like, you know, you don't have air conditioning in your room.
Right.
You just have a bunk and like a couple bunks get a tiny fan and you're fighting for that bunk. So they're like, you're miserable. They don't change over the 3 weeks. They never change your sheets once. So they said it's full of sand. You're dirty. It's gross. Like there's so many crabs. They said crawling into your bunk all the time. Like the crabs are very real. They said it's miserable. And so I'm like, there's no music. There's all this drama. I just be like,
I think I would either hate it or I would become like a cockroach crab and would survive and would be like, you guys are hating this? My eyes are like all like huge and bloodshot. And I'm just like, I love it here. I'm never gonna leave.
Like, I finally found home. Yeah, no, I could see you thriving. I feel like you'd be like, if everyone else is like, I'm uncomfortable, I could see you being like,
right. Going out of my way to prove myself to everyone else, being like, you guys are pussies. I love it
like,
here.
you guys are complaining about being in a beautiful location and getting famous.
Privileged.
Like, boo-hoo. Yeah. Oh, so terrible.
Just to be counter to everyone else.
But that's the truth. That is the reality. It's like, listen, it's a great situation, but I could see myself when I'm too hot, when I'm trying to sleep, I can't sleep. So I could see myself not sleeping at all. And then when I don't sleep at all, I lose my mind.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was The Bachelor for sure. I do think that it would get very boring though. I mean, you don't have anything to do.
True.
For weeks on end.
You just really have to hope that the people that you're with are fun.
I mean, it's a small beach and you've got like a pool and that's about it. And some alcohol, which I think even that would get old real fast because you're getting all dehydrated and you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, but like I could see myself raging for about 48 hours, drinking a lot.
That's what it seems like happens.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I'm over it. I feel sick and it's too hot.
Yeah. Everyone's just like, can you make me like a pineapple refresher? Yeah,
I would just be in the ocean the whole time. They'd be like, you gotta come in for some interaction with the people, and I would just be out, just getting tossed around.
You're just like swimming out to sea. Yeah, I don't even think they let people do that much because of the mics thing. I think that they probably just don't let them go in the water.
Oh, yeah, because I'm like, I would throw a snorkeling mask on, and that's all you see. You just see me kicking around in a just the tube, just around and in the background the whole time.
So just like you popping up with your little.
I love a snorkel.
Yeah. So my two favorite things about this episode were the Thomas situation and then
Riley and Maurissa.
I want to call him Spencer for some reason. Riley and Maurissa, yes. Okay, so Thomas. I want to talk about Thomas because Thomas came onto the beach. All the guys are just like, I was dying of Noah being like, I've heard he's the devil. And like just everyone really pumping up Thomas. I think it was Mob Boss going, he said that he had only gone on Katie's season to be the Bachelor. And the girl's like, he said that verbatim. He's like, he said that word for word, verbatim.
Oh, there was the level of comments being thrown around before Thomas even came on the beach. There was a moment where James and Aaron were sitting together. And Mob Boss literally says, if Thomas walks in, it will send me into a fit of... Aaron cuts him off and says, active rage? And Mob Boss was saying anxiety. I mean,
Aaron's like, we'll burn his bunk and all his belongings, coming in hot as usual.
Aaron talked about rearranging his job.
No, I know. And
it was getting really intense.
It was killing me though. I can't remember which one of the girls, like they all seemed jealous, and then all the girls are just like, I'd go on a date with him already, fine, whatever. Or instead, I'd go on a date with him. Why am I glitching? I'd go on a date with him.
Regardless?
I guess that's what I was trying to say. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
All the women though were, I mean, he came down and it was like...
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're like, I'm going on a date with him.
Yeah. How do you feel about the goatee?
I think Thomas is hideous. I've always thought that. Maybe objective to me, hideous to me. He is objectively attractive. I've never been attracted to him.
I find Thomas to be unbelievably good looking. I'm not a fan of the
really?
Oh, dude. Yeah.
I mean, I know he's good looking.
No,
I shouldn't say he's not hideous, but to me, I'm just like, ew.
I know when I was watching this, I'm like, even if I knew better and he walked down, I'd be like, hi. Even if I wasn't into his personality.
He's always got this,
I would simp so hard.
I have to say, there is one thing that I sort of agree with the guys, where it's like, he's always got this like half innocent puppy dog look on his face that I just want to slap off his face. And I've hated it since the moment I saw him, where he just has got this too like, yeah thing where I'm just like, you are lying and hiding something.
No, I don't buy...
Bugs me.
No, I don't buy the bullshit. I'm saying the way physically he is,
yeah.
I would be in a situation where I would know better.
Yeah.
But I'd kind of be like, okay. Like, yeah. I would embarrass myself around him.
Could you believe the how the amount of times he did the tall shtick?
Oh. Endless. And it was so funny because we just did an episode that came out on Tuesday with Matt Belisai, and Matt Belisai brought up, because he's super tall, he was like, well, when you're tall, you have to talk about that you're tall. And I was just dying laughing because I was thinking about like when he was saying you have to say that when you're on a date. Every time you're on a date, you have to mention how tall you are.
The swiftness where the girls will go like, oh, how tall are you? 6'6". Yeah.
And every time he'd be ducking, he would just be like, oh God, it's because I'm so tall.
He's like, ah!
He kept taking him into
oh my God. Look at how short this doorway is. Ah,
he's got 5 feet that he's good. And he's just like, oh my God, it's like the walls are closing in on me. Oh my God.
I feel like claustrophobic. My legs are cramping.
He's like, I gotta tell you, I've really gotten into real estate and interior design recently because I love a high ceiling because with this height going on, I have to make sure that
accessibility is constantly an issue for me.
It's just always, I'm just constantly just ducking for my safety.
Every single time. How tall are you? 6'6". He was like so swift. 6'6". I'm 6'6". Yes, I know. I know you thought I was tall, but did you know I was 6'6" tall?
And then I love
like, being tall is not a personality trait.
My
God
favorite
damn
thing
it.
is then Aaron just being like, hey, you guys, I'm tall too, right? I never talk about how tall I am. I'm tall too. Hey, everybody, you know how tall I am? And I'm like, Aaron, don't talk about
Do I have to talk about how tall I am?
I am.
You might start now,
it
seems
tall.
like.
I am so tall. The whole Aaron Thomas dynamic brings me much joy because I think about how often Aaron thinks about Thomas.
Yes.
And I believe he thinks about him at least
Constantly.
once a day. I mean, it has to be constant, but truly at least once a day, this man thinks about Thomas. And you know, he's constantly going on Thomas's Instagram, fuming over every caption, fuming over every Insta story, showing, sending it to all of his friends. He's just, you know, when you have that person in your life where you're like, I just hate them.
I think Aaron has about 2 or 3 dozen of those people.
Oh, for sure. But Thomas is like the current one, you know? Yeah. And I just think about how often Thomas thinks about Aaron. Once every 3 weeks. After Aaron comments on one of his photos. And I was just thinking about the dynamic of when it was just killing me. Because it's like, you have those people, like I think about like the person in my life who like really angers me and really bugs me. And I just, and like they never think of me. And when I was watching this, it was a good reminder for me being like, that person never thinks about you and you're just fuming over them all the time. Just let it go. Just let it go. You know?
So I have to say, Joe is just charming without even trying.
I know.
He is just so cute without even trying. You know, he's like, I hope you have a bad time to Serena when she agrees to go on the date. And you're just like, God damn it, you're cute.
I know. I can't help it. I can't help it either. I would have a massive crush on him.
I mean, he's you know what? He's just a good guy and there's no getting around it.
Well, also we saw it too when all the guys were in their huddle talking about how much they hate Thomas.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know the guy, so I'm not going to reserve my judgment for him.
I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
And even after Thomas, you know, took Serena P out, he was
like, well, I don't know the guy.
Now, did he fall to the depths of the earth when Serena was gone?
It is exactly what happened to him with Kendall. It was crazy.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, I forgot too that I kind of forgot that they both did leave the beach like heartbroken and they didn't leave together.
But watching the montage of Joe that was the exact same as the first day where like literally the couch was absorbing his sadness. It was like he literally was bent over like this sad. Like he looked like a Charlie Brown character and just the most sad and just going back to Wells and Wells was like, here he is again.
How cute was it when Serena came back and he was just like, oh, that's what I thought you were like, that's what I thought or whatever.
I was laughing so hard.
It was just so like, cute.
It was cute, but I was also too like, dude, just hell. I mean, she knew that he was tripping.
Yeah, that was he was joking, right? He was like, oh, that's what he's like, that's what I thought that's what was gonna happen.
I loved that Serena just went straight to him right afterwards. Yeah. Like there was no, you know, hanging out with Thomas, chatting with the girlfriends. At least that's how we saw it. I love that she just went straight for Joe. Yeah.
And of course we didn't see when she told Thomas apparently that she like wasn't interested, you know?
A move that I enjoyed in the editing of the show. I liked that they gave us that.
A little twist.
I liked it because that it was a surprise. It was like we didn't see that. And so when she said that I shut him down, it was like, oh my goodness.
Okay, so now we have to talk about the Trey stuff because on the date, which I don't know why Trey did get brought up on the date to Serena.
Okay, so when they were having their conversation, so Serena had heard from like at that point, every single guy from Thomas's season was on a campaign to now unionize all the women against Thomas, which makes me laugh because I was like, oh, gentlemen.
Yes.
It may be easy for you to convince other men, but now you are dealing with women and we will hold our own opinions and take time to make our own discernment ourselves. All the guys were talking to all the women.
Right.
And so when Serena and Thomas were on their date, which I loved too about Serena, I really like Serena a lot, when she just immediately says to him, so, you know, the guys aren't saying great things about you. So, like, what's the deal? Thomas was the one who brought up Trey.
Okay, that's what I thought was so bizarre. And I didn't know if it was editing or what, but I was like, why is like this relationship with Trey getting brought up?
Because I think what we didn't see so much on Katie's season is that Thomas and some of the other guys didn't get along from the top, but Trey and Thomas were really good friends. And then Trey felt betrayed by Thomas because he felt, I think it was probably, we saw Thomas's conversations with Hunter, where then Hunter felt betrayed because he was like, I just sat and I'm having these one-on-one conversations with you, and now you're going to the whole group and you're not being straightforward about what you just said to me. And I think what happened was, at least now what we're seeing is then Thomas telling Serena, right, that like he said that he hurt Trey because Trey and him were really, really close.
Okay.
So
I did agree. Like, I just thought it was inappropriate to bring him up. And I always get the red flag. I don't like when someone, to me, is very belittling to be like, especially with someone who is like technically your equal on the show. I'm a little triggered from my personal experience with it, but being like,
Yeah.
you know, oh yeah, he's like a little brother to me. I just want to watch out for him. I'm like, you're like stabbing a knife in this person's back by talking down about them to someone else, being like, you know, silly little Trey who just needs my help for like emotional maturity. I'm like, that's really like that to me. That is really snaky behavior.
calling someone emotionally not strong to another person, to me, is that's a massive no. Like,
And like, what,
I get
for
we're
why?
here and this is a game and like, you know, whatever, but like, okay,
You know what it is though? He phrased it in the what made it to me such a no-no is he phrased it in the context of being like, Trey's my friend who I look out for. That's
Yes.
what's nasty. If you're Aaron talking about Thomas and you're saying he's emotionally weak or whatever. Okay.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
sure, it's not right to talk bad about someone, but in the context of trying to pretend
Yes.
like you're just looking out for this person, that's gross.
also, it wasn't even it's not like someone like you said, that Aaron, where there's obviously
You're
like
pissed.
actual contention and
Sure.
this person is, you walk in the room and this person is like seething. Okay. With I'd also be more like, that's just the name of the game, if he was talking about Joe to Serena. If it's like, oh, the guy that you're talking
Sure.
to,
Exactly.
that
There's
you
a
have
point
a
of
crush
contention.
on, right? I'm gonna talk shit on him a little
Right.
bit, but I'm like, dude, Trey, who's not even involved in this, you're gonna go out of your way to try to make him seem small.
Do you think that she brought up, like, Trey said this before he started talking about Trey in particular?
Maybe, but even if he did,
No.
you know, I still felt the way that he spoke about Trey was very belittling.
I agree. Now,
But in a way, again, and then this is a very Thomas thing, in a way that you can't quite. If you call him out for it, he goes, "Well, but I love him. I was only
Yeah,
saying that
that's
like I
snaky.
care about him."
That's snaky.
It's that's the thing with fucking Thomas, dude. And this is what's hard. And I get frustrated watching this because I don't feel like the way that Thomas has been treated is fair, because there isn't anything to actually back it
Right.
up. And the way that they're talking about him is like he did all of these horrendous
Yeah.
things, where a lot of what they have with him is probably more of a gut feeling,
Which is
that
why
there's something off.
which is why I think they need to shut the fuck up and let
Yes.
other people make their own conclusions.
100%. So I don't trust Thomas.
And I think what would be appropriate for them to say is be like, I think you got to watch out for him. He's not like showing his, you know, he's not being honest about
Yeah.
the hand that he's
Yes.
holding or whatever.
So it's like I'm like in this place where I'm like, if I were a betting woman, I don't trust Thomas fully. There's something that I feel like there are moments like this, or moments where he's talking to Katie and he can't seem to or he won't give her direct answers about things.
I
And
mean,
it's always,
yeah.
there's a lot of sidestepping. And for me, I don't like someone who sidesteps. I like someone who's very direct.
And neither of us liked it when they had that date. And he
No.
was like, "What?" She's like, "You know, what's your biggest weakness in relationships?" He's like, "I love too hard," or you know, whatever, that
it's
kind of bullshit.
type of
Stop
thing.
bullshitting me.
No, it's a lot. It's the sidestepping to, in my opinion, avoid conflict, avoid making yourself not look perfect in a situation, whatever.
Right. It's avoiding vulnerability.
Yeah, I don't prefer that in a partner. But at the same time, the way that they're talking about him, they don't have any real thing.
Right.
So I get when you have a gut feeling about someone and it eats away at you.
Do it on the podcast all the time.
All the time. I get that. But you then can't go on a show and, like you said, call out people and be like, he's this bad guy, he's this, and like make it this whole your job to make sure that this guy gets sent home right away. It's like people need to have their own takes on him.
I don't really care about that because it's like, for me at least, I'm like, I don't care about it. Whatever. Like, if you want to kick someone off the beach, do whatever. I just don't like that they were lying about certain things, like saying that he verbatim said that he wanted to be the Bachelor. I'm like,
yeah, I guess he. Yeah,
they made it. They framed it to the women like he came on and was like, I came on this season to be the Bachelor. No, they literally pinned him down and were like, did you ever have a thought about coming on the Bachelor? And it was one of Thomas's most honest moments where he's like, okay, yeah, I did consider that.
Yeah,
I'm like, shut the fuck up.
I just feel like it was super. I felt like the whole situation, honestly, it started out super unfair.
Totally.
For Thomas. And as much as I go, if my girlfriend shows up with Thomas on a double date with me and Evan, do I go, I'm gonna.
Not sure about this guy.
I don't know. Like, he's very attractive. He's charming. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see. But I felt it was so unfair the way that he was treated when he came in. Like, the fact that he literally had to truly spend most of his date with Serena defending himself before she ever met him. And that's what he's going to have to continue to do for probably the rest of the time he's on Paradise, is just defend himself. It's just not okay.
And I will say, to the point of how I did not like him talking about Trey, then I have to say, Jess, when Trey came to have a conversation with him, Trey acted extremely emotionally immature.
Yeah, it was an emotional reaction for sure. I was
like, you're acting like, I mean, come on, Trey, you're acting like a 16-year-old. And then it was like so ironic to me of him being like, I am emotionally mature. Be like, no, you can't say anything. No. I was like, dude,
I was really, that part really bummed me out just because. So when Carl, decides to be the peacemaker and bring the men together, I mean, by the way, literally, Aaron was visibly laughing at Thomas's responses. So Thomas was saying like, yeah, no, I get that I did that. And Aaron is in the background just going, ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, dude, he's like, let the man speak. James is asking him 20 questions. In that moment, Thomas, again, as much as I have red flags, I felt like Thomas did respond really well. He apologized. Yes. He took accountability for what he did, and he literally singled.
And you watched all the guys just being like, oh, and
he singled out each person. He's like, I hurt you when I did this. I hurt you when I did this. And then he specifically is like, Trey, what I did was like not cool to you. Like, I really, like, you and I were close. We felt like, and I hurt you and I betrayed you. And he took full ownership. Aaron says he needs some space.
I know, which I loved that. She's like, I'm just gonna need to like recover a little bit from all the ways you've hurt me.
I'm like, did Thomas do anything to Aaron personally? I don't think so. He was just like, I'm gonna need some time and space, and I'm definitely gonna not want to speak to you at all on this beach. And it's just like, okay. And like Thomas is like, what can you do? But what made me, it really did. It made my heart hurt so bad when Thomas says he took Trey for granted. And immediately you see Trey, and Trey is a teddy bear.
Right.
Trey right away, he probably did feel a lot of betrayal from Thomas. We didn't see it so much. And all of a sudden, someone that he cares about is like, I did hurt you and I took you for granted. And he probably felt really appreciated. And all of a sudden, in a moment of emotion, because he cares about Thomas, he then embraces him and they go to the bar and he's happy to have his guy back.
And then Serena's
and he says he wants to offer grace to people because he's been given grace. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's having this moment where he probably is like, oh my God, I have my friend back. And he acknowledged how he hurt me. Yeah. And then Serena, was it Serena who tells him? Yeah. Serena tells the house.
Yeah.
Serena then comes and delivers the news. And when I saw her say that to Thomas, when I watched it, I related
to Trey.
To Trey. When I watched it, I related so much. I watched him have an emotional response right away, and you could see the anxiety just in his stomach just go up to his throat. And I was like, oh my God. I was thinking about times in my life where like I had an emotional response to someone in like a I'm dropping this boundary and probably too quickly because I'm like, oh, we're friends again. And then they hurt me right away again.
What did he do to Trey?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I think what we saw from Trey is that Trey said that he lied to him a bunch.
Okay.
And he was being dishonest with him. And I was like, I'm like, oh my God, like I've done that so many times where I dropped a boundary out of emotion too quickly. And then when the person right away hurt me again, I had an emotional reaction instead of just sitting. And Trey, you just saw that. And I'm like, Trey, no, don't. Give yourself a beat. And he just beelines over to Thomas and just
and of course, response. Thomas was being shitty in the thing with Serena, but it's also one of those things where it's like, well, what if that was like, I don't even think Serena told Trey. I think that someone else told Trey after Serena told them. Right? Or no?
I think Tajwan tells Trey.
Which, that it just kind of bothered me because I was like, okay, he's hearing this from someone who heard this from someone who heard this from Thomas.
Yeah.
And then now he's going on this whole tirade, like, which I guess if someone has already hurt you and been dishonest to you, then you're like, oh, this is confirmation.
But I think it's probably because out of his love and his emotion, he dropped that boundary with Thomas too quickly because he was probably happy to have him back in his life.
Yeah.
Which can happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, Trey, no, sweet Trey.
Like I said, there's just moments with Trey where he's like standing up and doing the whole thing at Men's all and like, I don't know. I'm just like.
I feel like I've always liked Trey, but I hear you. But specifically when it was like I saw the emotional response, but then when the way that he in this episode then too with the whole Riley Tajwan situation, I so respected. I loved how Trey went about
Oh yeah,
that.
actually I did like that too.
And he was like, and then he was very direct with Tajwan being like, I know that I can, he's probably just hanging out with the guys too much and not letting her know how he feels. And he's like, I know I need to work on stuff. And he wasn't reactive to the fact that Tajwan was there to meet Riley.
No, and he wasn't territorial about it either.
No.
Like, and he didn't feel. But then, does that speak to his? Do you think that he's really romantically interested in her?
Oh, I think so. Because you saw him pacing, like he was tripping out when Riley was going to go talk to. He's like, "Oh, don't talk to her. Don't talk to her." And then he ended up talking to Tajwan last. And he's like, "Oh, I know that means he's going to take her out on a date." He was tripping. He was tripping about it. But then he was able to. I felt like it was like, wow. I was really impressed that he was able to handle knowing that she was there for Riley and is attracted to Riley and is still like, I still want to get to know you.
Because when she was all pissed, like when he didn't ask her on the date, like Trey was really cool about that and like wasn't making a thing.
So should we get into to Riley showing up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I just struggle with the Thomas thing because it's like I think that I think Thomas is a shithead, but there's nothing that you can pin him down as that. So until that, you need to just like back up and let someone form their own opinions.
Completely. He's one of those guys where it's like I have these gut feelings about, but I can't say anything about it. So
although if he is like, we didn't see it on Katie's season that he was like lying to Trey and lying to other people, and if it's like maybe there is stuff.
But the thing is, whenever they talk about it,
there's never anything said.
It's like when the girls, I'm like, this is maybe the moment that we're actually going to find out what Thomas did. When the girls were like, "So boys, why is he so shitty?" And then Aaron and Mob Boss are giving the reasons, and again they're all just kind of like, okay, like, so like and I'm even wondering when Trey's saying that he lied to him, like, is that him lying, being like, oh, I wanted to meet Katie or some shit like that, and finding out that like, oh, he didn't really want to meet Katie, like, because we've never heard anything that Thomas has really done. No, that's where I'm kind of like, okay, the Thomas thing's weird. The Thomas thing is weird, and I got all the red flags, and I do think he's going to hurt somebody. But at the same time, I feel bad for him because I'm like, you're just coming in at an unfair advantage. Like they're just, it's not fair for you. You're coming in and it's just an uphill battle. Yeah. Okay, Riley. So Riley comes in and all the girls are like, oh, hey, boy.
Now, what I loved was Tajwan was so, I was like, we hadn't seen this side of her where she was just like, I wanted you and I came here for you. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Also,
I love seeing that side of her.
Me too. Also, the most relatable thing ever when he walks in and she's at the bar and she's so nervous to go meet him that she won't leave the bar. He's like, come over. I want to talk to you. And she's just like, I can't do it. And everyone's gathered and she literally cannot unglue herself from the bar. Cause I'm like, I have never related to something more on this show. Cause I am a flirt to the high heavens. But when I like somebody, oh my God. I am so like, I don't know what to say. I get very flustered and I avoid the person if I actually have a crush on them.
Definitely same. What I do not relate to was the balls on her when she was just like being like, yeah, like it's you. What do you want? You. I was like, okay.
I was alive. I'm like, yes.
I was really bummed out when he didn't ask her. I was like, dude.
She put it all out there. She was like,
at least give her a chance.
I know. I mean, now loving him and Maurissa together, but
they're on a whole nother level.
Those two are getting married. Those two are staying together. I firmly believe that's going to be a couple that we see wrap it on the sand. But I did really want to see Tajwan and Riley.
I want to see her. I don't know. I don't think it's going to. I don't know. I'm like back and forth with her and Trey.
Trey might be a slow burn.
Yeah.
It might be like she might become more into him after the way that he handled the whole Riley situation. Right.
How old is he?
I think he's pretty young.
Okay. Then
he's 25.
Okay. Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. But well, no, what Riley coming on that sand and all the women gathered around, and the fact that Riley just tells the men that they can
26,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Riley just tells the guys, he comes in, he's just like, you guys can all take a back seat and I'm just gonna start talking to the ladies.
Okay, let's talk about him and Marissa's date, because I mean,
Maurissa, number one, we find out beforehand that Maurissa has never been on an official date before. And I was like, someone take this woman out on a date ASAP. This beautiful human being, someone take this woman out.
Do you know that I've like maybe in the real world, not on The Bachelor, been taken out on a date like twice? Like, it's always just bullshit. Like, come over, watch TV. Why don't we go to like oh my
God, someone take this woman out on a date.
Right?
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, like now Gray and I go out on dates, but like I have like only been like properly asked out on a date like maybe like 2 times in my life.
I'm gonna have to arrange something for you.
Right?
I'm gonna have to talk to Gray and be like, so here's the thing.
I think that this is for any men listening. I think that it is a lost art of like asking a woman out on a date and like preparing a proper fancy date.
1000%.
Yeah.
Like there is.
And make it cliched. Go to a fancy dinner and dress up. Like it doesn't have to be anything wild.
There is nothing, at least personally, I love more than getting a little dolled and going to a nice dinner. Like wine and dine me.
Yeah, I'll pick you up at 7. We're going to go to this place. Make sure you have a pretty dress on. Like.
Quick personal preference.
Yeah.
Don't pick me up. Send a car.
Send a limousine. Send a driver. Send a driver.
Send a helicopter.
Have champagne in the back.
Make sure that the helipad is easy access because I have very high heels on, obviously stilettos. No, I love when someone sends a car. Like, so that because
what about your man's on a budget? You know, not everyone has the budget to send a car to Santa Monica when you're having dinner in downtown LA.
Understandable, but you know, I'm just saying this is my preference. Is
make it happen.
But make it happen. You know what I mean? Like skip your Starbucks for a couple days to send me a car. I'm just saying when you pick me up, then I feel obligated that I can't leave if I want to leave.
Yeah.
And then I got you. And then there's that awkward, like, I'm going to take you home. I'm like, I don't want to have a long drive back with this guy. I want you to acknowledge that I might want to leave when I want to leave.
I will say in the one time where I did get taken on a proper date, it was truly our first date. And like, I actually did not like that situation. It felt like way too much pressure. I think preferably you have a first hangout and then you have a date so that you can do the thing of like, I'll pick you up at this time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean like not having like a blind date?
Or, you know, a lot of people meet on dating apps now, like, you know, not like the first, you know, a lot of people like talk or like whatever, or meet, maybe even meet somewhere like with friends. I say like have a first hangout, a first one-on-one hangout.
A first one-on-one hangout. Okay.
Like let's like go to a park together, or like take a walk somewhere, or like go grab a coffee or a smoothie or whatever. Like that way you both can feel out like, is it worth it to like have this evening out together?
Ideally, I like being with like a group of people in that first setting. Yeah. And so then it's like, then it doesn't feel like a date. So then that is a first date when you're taking me out and really whining and dining me. Oh man, there are little tricks. Again, I believe it's a lost art, and there are little tricks to really show someone that you have put in a lot of thought.
Yeah, even without money, like it's, you know, even if you are like setting up like a picnic and you're a little on your terrace in your apartment or whatever, like you can get so creative.
But just make it intentional.
Totally.
Listen to what the person's saying so that when you're with a hang with them and you find out that, and you notice that after they eat, they always pop a Tic Tac. Have Tic Tacs there.
Oh.
Just pay attention to little things, because that will then send me to the moon. I'm like, oh my God, you actually noticed that about me? We didn't have a conversation about it.
Wow.
You know, just the little things. But the car thing is always just, it's always just a move. I had a guy when I was out with some girlfriends recently who asked me out on a date, and I was like, well, here's the thing. I am a mother and married. But thank you so much. I may have
not been giving off that impression, but when push comes to shove, do not touch me, sir.
Yes.
This is a ring on my finger.
Yes, but what he did was he goes, oh, totally appreciate the conversation, bought me a drink, bought my car ride home.
Wow.
And I was like that.
I thought you were going to say, I'm going to send a car for you and your husband to come out on the date with me next Friday.
He's like, you can invite him too.
Nothing gets in my way. Bring him along.
But what a move. What an exit move. I'm like, no, but he was a total gentleman. And so I wasn't like, get away from me. Right. No, he was like, we were all in a group, and he was super cool.
That's a great move.
And he buys my drink and buys my Uber home. Yeah. I mean, a move.
He's like, I'll still be waiting around if you have any second
thoughts. He's like, now I have your address. I'm like, oh God.
Oh man. Yeah, but okay, so
I like forget me. Like, okay.
Like, you can just Venmo me for the car.
Yeah,
I'll order
like,
it myself.
you don't have to know my address. Didn't think about that part when I told my address, but oh well.
Wouldn't have thought about that either, but
now gonna be thinking about it for the next couple weeks.
He's like showing up with flowers. With roses.
Legit, I pulled up to the house and Evan was still awake, and he was like, why did you order such a nice car? Because I always will just get like an Uber, whatever.
Did he get you like an Uber X?
He got me a black. Yeah.
Wow, that is a move.
Yeah, it was a big move. And Evan was like, why did you spend that much money on an Uber? And I was like, a guy actually got it for me.
Evan's looking at the bank account.
And I'm like, Evan, a guy actually got it for me. He goes, oh, perfect. Saved a chunk of change. That's the way he thinks. So I was like,
I don't know if he wants to buy us dinner tomorrow too, would you?
No, legit. I'm like, he bought all my drinks too. And he's like, love to hear it. Nice hustle, baby.
Oh my God, I'm dead. I love that. Hit him up next time we're going out, okay? See if he'll send you a car on the way there next time. Did you get his number?
Yeah, did you guys exchange numbers? Even an email? We can just shoot him a message.
I love that. Okay, their date though. I liked it because I liked that they had the question prompts. I would love that for a first date.
Listen,
and a fun little challenge to bond over.
Listen, yes. Listen, did Lance Bass act like they were walking into a haunted house? Yes. The vibe, the way that the table was set up, so dramatic.
Where were they? Were they like underwater? I don't know why. I was like, are they in a submarine?
It did feel like they were in a submarine for sure. It was like, is this below deck
like locks
crossover?
on the door.
Yeah,
like,
it felt very like Tower of Terror escape room, haunted house. Yes. I'm not quite sure. Yes. The way he was dressed, the way the table was set up, he had a gleam in his eyes. He's like, welcome to your death. And it was like, it's just kind of like, it was just a challenge. I mean, I don't know. Like, I agree with you. Now, I had, two feelings. One, I was a little bit like, you guys, it's her first date and she's let you all know this. So my thought is like, let her have a romantic evening.
Ease up on the tongue.
She doesn't have to maybe eat all of the food.
I didn't know that was real and cooked and that's what they were going to be eating with the tongue.
Yeah.
That was huge.
It was a lot of meat. For me, when I am especially on a first date, I like to
keep things light.
A salad. I've got my nervous tummy.
Sure.
So
me too.
Large chunks of meat is just not my vibe before making love. But man, they did not. They were full in.
They did not shy away.
But you're right. There is something fun about having a first date where it's like it's memorable.
A bonding experience.
It's a challenge. You're gonna come back and be able to tell people about it, and you'll always remember it.
Even if you're at a restaurant and like the service is really shitty, or they spill something all over you, it's like it's still like there's something happening to chat about. That's
why you should take all your first dates. Do you remember those
restaurants with horrible service?
Dick's Last Resort. What were those restaurants where all the waiters? They're supposed to like shit on you. Yeah, that's a funny way to remember something. They're like, yes, they treat you terribly.
But on a first date, it's like, where do you even begin in terms of the conversation? Sometimes it's very free flowing, but sometimes, I don't know, I liked that they were able to just get in there. Yeah, they have like goofy things they got to do. They're both like, I'm not going to reveal how many sexual partners I had. Let's eat some tongue.
Yeah, I mean, and they were very forward with the way that they were expressing things to each other. They were also very honest in their answers.
Did we hear how often Riley masturbates? Because I don't think he revealed that in film. That's what I wanted to then hear.
No. I was surprised on Bachelor. I was like, okay, we're talking about masturbation. We love to see it.
He's like, I can top you. I masturbate 3 times a day. Every single day.
He's like, check this out. You think that's a lot?
Look at my hand.
Check out how sexy this is.
Look at the calluses. Gaze upon them.
You know what I love to hear though? I love when they were talking about when they were like, what are the spots that turn you on? And Riley said that he likes to get his ass grabbed. And I'm like, I love when a man talks about his ass.
I love that she was like, my feet,
she's like my feet, and he's like my ass. I'm like, oh my God, I love what is happening right now. The honesty.
When they started making out in front of him, I was dying.
He was so
because that he wasn't even putting it on. He was genuinely just like, how sometimes they're very theatrical about it, but you could tell they were like literally like about to have sex there, and Lance Bass is just like,
oh, he was so genuinely uncomfortable.
It was amazing.
I thought they were just moments away from knocking the food off and starting to make love on the table.
Okay, so like I wasn't actually shocked in the context of their date, but I was a little shocked. I was like, okay, they have no qualms about, they're going straight to the boom boom room.
I don't know if I have observed anyone in this franchise have such palpable sexual chemistry so quickly ever. These two, and it was like the second, and it to me it seemed very apparent the second that they started talking on the beach. I was like, they look like they're about to make out right now. Like they are into each other.
You think it's enough to sustain their relationship for years?
Well, I'll say this. I don't think necessarily that just sexual chemistry can sustain a relationship for a long time. But as they were dripping in sexual tension, when they had the conversation, when they actually got to, be over dinner and not be
Yes.
having the challenge anymore. I felt like they were just on the same page.
I think so too.
Like and it wasn't one of those same pages where you could tell that the person was like, oh my God, me too. Blue is also my favorite color. Like,
No, I'm with you. I think that they have a connection with
like
each other.
they are on the same page.
Yes.
Like,
I agree.
and then when she was talking with him about like the fact that she was so straightforward right away and was like, I need a lot of assurance in a relationship. That's what I need. It wasn't like the girl thing where you're like, you know, trying to put on like I'm this way and I don't need him. She literally was like, I need a lot of assurance. It was like, I was like, are we gonna get married tonight? Because they're one of those very rare people where I'm like, I could see them being the type of couple who, you know, you hear the people who are like,
we got married 10 days after we met.
and we've been together for 15 years. I was like, is this what's happening right now? Because then they took it out into the hallway and
I gotta say, I fucking hate the boom boom room shit. They do this in other reality TV shows too. I fucking hate it. I don't want to see
so invasive.
I don't want to, and I know they sign up for it, but I just don't want to see it.
Mm-mm. Just let them have their privacy.
Can't we just like see that? Can't we just do the whole Bachelor like close the door thing? Like there was another. I think it was F-Boy. Either that or Temptation Island. It was Temptation Island.
Temptation
Island, which we were watching.
Oh, how do you feel about Mark Wahlberg?
He's great.
He's amazing, right?
He's great.
He's so good.
But like, so we're watching season 3.
They show a lot of the bedroom.
And I'm just like, I don't want to see it, guys. I don't. Like, I don't care how hot you guys are or whatever. I just feel like, I'm just like, no.
Yeah, I always just feel the reason I don't necessarily want to see it is because I always just think about being in their position and being like, I would be so much happier if I knew that I had a place where I had privacy. And I
literally know producers are gonna
I didn't
watch
have
it.
to think about it. Like if I knew that there was a private place where the next day when I woke up and I had a great night with this guy, I didn't have to wake up thinking, oh God, what did it look like when we were doing that? Was I covered when I was doing that? How many people were watching?
Yeah.
Like I would just then be stewing over that the whole time and not be able to just have enjoyed my private moment with
Although
my person.
I heard from someone who had sex in the boom boom room was like, I love it. I love the exhibitionism.
Yeah, and if that's your deal, then that seems like an ideal situation.
I just don't like watching it because it's just these weird, gross, nighttime, just like creepy voyeur. It's creepy voyeur. It's not sexy voyeur.
It's the
night vision goggles.
Yes. It's the night vision goggles, 1000%. It makes it like
I like seeing them make out in the shadows of the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need night vision goggles.
Bachelor in Paradise, all rules are off. Cheers. Cheers. But I think they're going to go far. You know, meanwhile, as this is happening,
I'm happy for them.
Me too. I'm really happy for them. Meanwhile,
and she's like
Connor.
I know.
She's so cute.
Oh,
Connor is losing it on the beach, trying to act so cool. Like when she was leaving and he came up to her beforehand and was just like, "Oh, I hope you have a great time on your date. I'm so happy for you. I'm just happy I got to see you in your outfit beforehand." And I was like, don't say these things.
You know, and I hate Connor, but I don't hate Connor because Gray and I both despise him. But at the same time, he is such a nice, respectful guy. And he's
so respectful. That's the thing.
He does not have like he would never treat a woman maliciously.
No. He is a good person.
Yeah.
Does he give us the cringies? Yes.
Although his song at the end was good.
Well, here's the thing. He did do. I had to give him props
ending
for that.
One with the credits.
The ending
was
one
actually like that was good.
The man can. Well, remember when we saw him with Katie and he did the joke song, and I think that needs to be Connor's niche. Is he needs to go for the joke songs that add people's names in.
Earnest.
No, he's gonna do more of a quirky thing, like a comedian vibe. But I don't know. There was a moment that happened where I go, when he's wandering through the sand, sad, playing a song, to
Marissa.
Maurissa.
I hated that.
Well, no, when I'm watching it, I go, why does this song feel so familiar to me? And then I go on Katie's Instagram and she's like, Connor, that was our song. And that was the song that he wrote for Katie weeks before, which obviously he had written months before, before he ever met Katie. And I'm sure there are numerous women who'd be like, yeah, he played that song. I'm like, why does this song feel so just recent to me and so familiar?
So funny.
Connor's out here just recycling songs. But you know what? It's hard to write a song, so you can't blame him.
Let the man live.
Let him mourn.
All right.
But yeah, I mean we see clips of
Demi going for Kenny.
Kenny, which I'm nervous about. Like I said, Kenny, then it's like, Kenny, you seem pretty solid with Maury right now. What are you doing?
Kenny's like, fuck yeah, I'll go for it right now.
I'm in. Do you want me to, should I get naked? No? Too soon? We also see Chasen. There was a quick clip of Chasen, our bro.
Forgot about him.
Wolverine. He's here. I'm surprised that Demi's not trying to make out with Chasen. That feels like that would kind of organically happen to me. We also see Chris Conran. I don't know if I'm saying his name right.
Who the hell is that?
He was like Gone Night Oneer type guy.
Oh yeah, he's talking with
He's making out with Jasenia.
Yeah.
Which
I was
oh
like,
my
who
god,
the fuck is
wait,
this guy?
that was what we missed in episode 2 in my notes. Ivan and Jasenia.
Oh yeah. Forgot that they had a date and all that.
They had a date, and their date was. That's why I was like, when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh my god, no!
I think the chemistry just wasn't there with them, even though they had a great connection and a great conversation.
The date was so good, and the conversation was so good, and they talked about in their conversation where she spoke to Ivan, that saying to him that like she really admired Ivan talking about his experience as a black man in the current times with Tayshia, and then Jasenia then brings up the fact that she's like, it was so hard because the aftermath,
right,
aka Chris Harrison, Rachel Kirkconnell, that overshadowed. And what I loved about her too is she's like, it poor Matt's experience. She's like, it overshadowed Matt's journey and us women. And then we find out, that post the show, which, unfortunately is horrific, but not surprising, that she was receiving more racism than she's ever experienced in her life. And then Ivan acknowledged that that it's harder in the women's situation, in their specific circumstance, that people are often more hard on the women. And it was just such a good conversation. And they were, oh man, it felt like the chemistry was there though. They were like in the pool afterwards. Like it was like, oh damn, like they have an amazing emotional connection.
I think Ivan needs someone more. I don't know. I saw their connection on their date, but I saw them maybe differently on their seasons where like I think she needs someone maybe a little bit older than him. Like maybe a little, I don't know what it is. And like maybe he needs someone a little more like, maybe he needs like a little more of a I can see him with someone with a little more of like a playful dynamic.
Yeah.
Who's going to be like, Ivan, shut up, you whatever. Like I think he kind of maybe needs more of that.
Yeah.
And she needs someone a little more like, I see her with like some, tall, handsome stranger kind of like, I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I think they're good together. I don't think, I don't know.
Yeah. I was really hoping that it was going to be a long haul, and then seeing that, I was like, oh Lord.
I have a prediction that I don't think Ivan's going to end up with anyone, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, he's so wonderful.
I don't know why. I just feel like it's not going to
I think we talked about it on our live show. We were saying, I think we all were like, there's just something, we feel like he's going to be wonderful on the season as he is. You know, no surprise there. He's an amazing person, and that he's going to find an amazing person outside of Bachelor Nation.
Yeah, I also think he might not like find his person for like several years.
Yeah, I wonder if they would ever consider him as Bachelor.
Maybe. Ivan might end up with some... I don't know. I can't place the kind of girl that I think Ivan should be with. Maybe someone older.
Me.
Jazz.
Me. He was the one who
got away.
Sent me drinks and sent me home in a car the other day.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
it's a joke.
I see that's not
people
real.
all of a sudden just like, Ivan asked Jessica Ambrose out on a date, and everybody's like, Jessica who?
I see Ivan becoming, and maybe this is what I want. I want him to become this sort of like mysterious lone bachelor kind of character, and then he doesn't get with a woman until he's like 36 or 37, and then he gets married and settles down. I don't know. I just don't think, not that he's not ready, I just don't see marriage in his near future.
You are kind of a prophet, so I just want him to be happy.
I do too. And I think you know what? Remember when I was like, you know, I don't know, like he says he's ready for marriage and kids. I think he is completely emotionally, mentally ready. I don't think that's what's best for him right now.
Okay. I mean, he seems at least, you know, what can social media really tell you? But from whenever I see him on social media, he seems so happy.
I want to see him traveling. I want to see him exploring, I want to see him going on an eat, pray, love, finding himself journey.
Like he is right now, like as we speak, he is off the Amalfi Coast and he is having a romantic dinner with like a beautiful stranger, and like
I want to see him
just
like
be that moment, and then she's gone. And
I want to see him at the head of a boat, you know, with sunglasses and just kind of like looking out across the horizon. He needs more of that in his life before he gets married and settles down.
Yeah,
you know, he needs to like grow into his like, I don't know, his like sexy confidence. Like he needs to expand that, and then he can settle down into married life. But I envision more for him first.
Oh my God. Now I'm literally like, all I can think about is like picturing him on a boat and him just kind of being like the quiet stranger, and then like meeting up with him and being like, oh my God, who is that man? And they're like, we don't know. He's been here for 5 years. And yes, he's so handsome, and he keeps to himself. He plays chess alone in the park. You know, he's a big
German
chess
and
player.
Italian.
Yeah.
And
you're like, oh my God, he speaks all the languages. And like, you know, no one knows what he does. Yeah. He lives in that castle on the hill.
Okay, you're going somewhere else with it. I like picture him in Thailand, like drinking with the locals, and like, and meanwhile you're like, he has a castle.
I mean, I'm just saying, he has it all.
He's actually a vampire.
Don't turn me on to some vampire fanfic.
Oh my God. Okay.
Anywho,
guys.
Broads. That's a wrap on episode 2 and 3. We love you all. Tuesday, do not miss. We have an episode where we will be reviewing.
Oh, hell yes.
Your dating profiles, going over the Broads dating profiles. I am so excited. We got so many submissions. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. So that'll be Tuesday. And then, of course, Thursday, back with BIP EPs. The bros are back next week. So
the bros are back in town. All right.
We'll chat soon.
Chat soon, broads.